Hi, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Infernal Intercourse with me and Pastor Brian.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about the character of Cain, who was our big bad for season 3. So, opening thoughts, Brian?
Well, again, it's still a little confusing to me why Cain of all humans has this, this particular curse of not being able to die. And the thing that most strikes me about Cain, and I guess this would actually be a more Lucifer-y thing, but because I find Cain very attractive, I find Cain empathetic. I like Cain. When he seems to be empathizing with people, it feels authentic to me. So then it's very hard to jump tracks and then have the whole him be the evil guy and for this all to be an act. Of course, if he has been living humanity all this time, of course he would be a master manipulator anyway. It's funny he's a better manipulator than Lucifer, so that's weird.
Well, but Lucifer hasn't lived all that long among humans, although he has obviously seen a lot of dead humans in hell, but maybe they're not the best ones to learn from in their little hell loops. I don't know. Because he certainly hasn't seen the cream of the crop. You'd think he'd be a lot less positive about humans after spending thousands of years with the worst of the worst or whatever.
If that is indeed the worst of the worst.
Well, yeah, it's not clear to us, as we said before, who gets sent to hell or why here in this show. But clearly Cain is someone who does come off as very empathetic to begin with. He treats everyone very well. He seems very good at his job, and we get the flashbacks in that one episode of the 40s when he was a detective earlier. So obviously he's, done the law enforcement thing. He's probably done many things. Obviously, he's been around for thousands of years, and has learned how to be the sympathetic guy.
Yeah, he much more fulfills for me that character of the deeply flawed hero, right? Mm-hmm. He's much more that character to me than just the irredeemable evil that has to be done away with,
Which he sort of morphs into, right? Because by the end, it's like, I'm going to kill Chloe, and I have all these henchmen, and I've set up all these crimes, and I have no remorse. And
what's that name that they have for him? I can't remember. What was the name?
Sinner Man.
Sinner Man. And what a fruit name. That's
totally stupid. Well, and I think that's one reason why they try to make fun of it all season, that it's supposed to be a stupid name.
So that's part maybe of why it didn't scare me.
Because I think people keep mishearing it as cinnamon, and then, you get some type of joke in the show, and they're trying to, But, again, like Lucifer, but when Lucifer at least is an immortal, you think might be able to change his appearance. Cain, as a 6'2" white dude, doesn't look very authentic. At least Eve was kind of short and looked Middle Eastern, But her kids doesn't. We don't know what Abel looked like since he was in somebody else's body, but certainly this other kid doesn't look like he's from the Levant in several thousand BC. But you want people to look at Tom Welling, obviously. So
yeah, I mean, not as hot as Dan, but definitely hotter than Lucifer for me, right there.
Okay, we disagree on who's hottest.
Yeah, we do.
But it is funny because, in the second or third episode he's in, I think Ella makes some comment about how this 6'4" guy with the huge arms or whatever. I'm like, this is where IMDb is my friend. I'm constantly looking up how tall people are, because a lot of times you notice that the actors are just wildly different heights, and you're trying to wonder, well, in this scene they've got this woman in 6-inch stiletto heels, and she's still a foot shorter than the guy, And they used to be, people would complain about that on the X-Files when Scully would get into a car, and then Mulder would get to a car, and they didn't have to readjust all the mirrors, because in real life you would, because she's shorter. But I'm thinking, oh, well, is Tom Welling really 6'4"? And is he taller than Tom Ellis? And I'm thinking, okay, so maybe they cast somebody taller than Tom Ellis so that he would be more intimidating or something, and they could have them standing together. No, he's not. But the funny thing was, I find out that Tom Ellis is 6'3", and that Tom Welling is listed as 6'2"3/4.
Wow.
Does it really matter that much? Is there so much? Is it like a pissing contest that where we have to get that third quarter inch in there? It can't be 6'2.5" or just 6'3". We can't fudge it at all. It's
Yeah.
6'2 3/4.
I'm 5'10.5", but not 5'10 3/4.
I just thought it was kind of funny. So he's a 6'2 3/4 tall person playing a 6'4" person for whatever reason, unless Ella's just wrong on his height, maybe. But we do get this, that he's got this mark that set him apart. He's been wandering the earth since he committed the first murder, I guess. Although I am assuming, and a big assumption, that since they've had Eve and they've mentioned Adam and we've had Abel and we've had Cain, that they are only the progenitors of a certain part of humanity, because the show obviously is assuming that the world is the way it is now, and there's 7.8 billion people in or whatever, and it seems unlikely that 5,000 or 6,000 years ago these four people were the only people. So it's like maybe they were the only people to be the ancestors of certain other people. I don't know.
Right.
I've been kind of going with that. So so Cain, was he then really the first murderer? I guess then it confuses me, because then there would have been other people. But if he's the first murderer in this particular family, and he gets, for whatever reason, God likes eternal punishments in this, so Lucifer goes to hell supposedly forever. Cain is going to wander the earth supposedly forever because of one crime. Basically, each one has committed one mistake, right? And God's like, oh, that's it. That was your one chance. Now you're cursed for eternity, which seems, out of proportion.
Which is where, Pastor, I go online and say that's not a God that I would worship, right? And so that's why we, of course, look at those stories as allegories, right? They're telling truth about the nature of God, the nature of creation, with stories. But of course, this mythology is trying to sometimes it'll use what's there, and sometimes it'll ignore what's there. But so far, no Seth or
And Adam was just off having some good time in heaven, but apparently he and Eve had not been keeping in touch. So
right, and that's another one for poor Cain. Like he had crappy parents. He didn't really have a good upbringing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it will be interesting to see how they deal with God in season 5, because the God we are seeing as a result of his choices, like his choice to send Lucifer to hell forever, his choice to make Cain marked forever, don't reflect well. And then the whole thing about him sort of ignoring things for long periods of time. You're like, to do, even Lucifer doesn't know what. He's just off. So now if God actually comes down to earth and has things to say, what is that God going to be like? It will be interesting to find out.
Yeah. Is there credibility there?
Yeah. So this mark that Cain has, though, is supposed to show that he is a murderer and that he's living forever or whatever. And he wants to get rid of it. And then it turns out the way to get rid of it is basically to actually think of someone else before yourself. So apparently he, like the angels, has been extremely adolescent and never gave a care for anybody else for thousands of years. And now finally, at least at first, I think he just tries to get in with Chloe to make Lucifer mad. But then eventually, apparently, he does actually come to love her. And then the mark goes away. Because now he's learned to love, which isn't cliche at all. And then he decides, you know what? I don't like that. I want the mark back.
Yeah, and then at breakneck speed, he does the whole, 180 and goes back to being the sinner man.
Right. So he falls in love and immediately is like, oh, screw that. I need to go back to being the bad guy. So I don't know about that character arc. It seems to kind of do a little 180 there because the script needed it to happen that way. I think I would have been better if he did never truly, I guess, fall in love with Chloe, because he immediately just turns around and tries to kill her, right? So it's like, and he doesn't seem to show any remorse for that. And as we've described in the hell episode, we don't even know why he thinks he's not going to hell exactly. I mean, he thinks it's because when he asked Lucifer, does your guilt send you to hell or whatever, the guilt that you feel, send you to hell? And Lucifer's like, yes. And then at the end, when he's dying, and Lucifer thinks, well, says you're not going to heaven. And he's like, but I don't feel guilty. He should be right. He should be going to heaven the way we've been told that the rules work.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucifer says, well, that was before you killed Charlotte Richards. And it's like, but who cares if he doesn't feel guilty?
Right.
That's the rule we just have established and was just reestablished in the last episode.
I mean, he already killed his brother. So, I mean, he's killed other people, presumably, right? A sinner man, especially. So,
right.
What's the big deal? All of a sudden, now the rules change. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Clearly, the writers could not make up their mind about this character. It's what it feels like to me. It just feels like there were competing visions. You know, is he the boogeyman? Is he, is he being redeemed? Is he, what is it?
Yeah, it seems to be one of those things they haven't really explained. And I'll say again, neither Brian nor I have read the graphic novels.
Right.
So
I have no idea.
So we have no idea what's going on there, or what happens in the Sandman universe, or what what they have changed and what they have kept. So it could also be a problem of translation from a different medium, that they wanted to take some things, they didn't really work out in a TV format. I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible.
Any last thoughts then on Cain?
Yeah. I missed him. Like, once he was gone, I definitely missed that character. It helped to add to all those triangle. I hate the love triangle bullshit, but the police triangles, it made it more interesting. Just all the police stuff between all the people involved, and Lucifer and Chloe and Dan and just everybody being involved. Cain was good in that mix to me, and I feel like he helped the backdrop police stories be more interesting and integrate better into the whole overall story. So I miss him for that.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me again, and thank you for watching another episode of Infernal Intercourse. We will see you next time. If you like this, hit like and subscribe, and hit that little bell notification so you know when I put up more videos.
Leave us comments. Tell us what we're missing. Tell us what we don't know from the comic books.
Yeah, leave us some comments. Tell us about the graphic novels. Tell us what things you'd like us to talk about and that you would like to leave comments on in the future. We'd like to hear from you. So thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you next time.